On this day, I experienced amazing changeable weather conditions and I witnessed moments of stunning light. It is one of my favourite days of landscape photography that I have recorded on video. Hello everyone and welcome Hello everyone and welcome to this. This is rather unexpected and rather sudden. I'm up in amongst the hills and mountains today, and it was quite a nice forecast, some sun, some white cloud, no mention at all of fog. When I arrived, and I've already climbed up quite a way, there was some nice visibility. You could see for miles. There was some pockets of mist and low cloud lingering, and it looked really good. So as I was climbing, I just looked to my left and I could just see this wave of fog coming in, and it came in incredibly quickly, and now I'm just basically surrounded in it. I can only hope that it clears, otherwise we're going to be doing some very minimalist photography today. The views aren't great at the moment, but yeah, hopefully it'll clear. But you may know from your own experience, you maybe have heard me say before, and obviously lots of other people, that when you're up in the hills and mountains you really need to be careful, because things can really just change in a matter of seconds. If someone just dropped me here at the moment, I wouldn't have a clue where I am, so you really need to be careful. But as I say, fingers crossed it will lift, and there should be some nice conditions for some landscape photography. But when it gets like this, you've obviously to be aware of your own safety. I can hope that it clears, but you've really got two choices. You can either continue and see what you can come up with, or give up and turn back. But obviously safety comes first, but I'm not really feeling I'm in any danger. I'm just hopeful that this will clear at the moment, so let's see what happens. I'm pleased to say there is some hope. Off ahead of me in this direction, unfortunately I can't point the camera this way because it's incredibly bright, there is a path winding off up the hill in the direction in which I'm headed, and the sun at the top right of the composition that I've set up is trying to break through the fog. At the moment it's incredibly bright, so there's no point me pointing the camera in that direction. But I think I managed to capture it just before it fully broke through, and there was a nice soft glow. So quite a nice ethereal looking image with a little bit of light hitting the path. And yeah, it's definitely the first thing that I've wanted to photograph today. Looking around, as you can see off to my left, in the direction in which the sun's breaking through, and basically everywhere, there's still very poor visibility. But it's increased a bit now. I would say I can see roughly maybe 150 yards or so now, so things are definitely looking better. So yeah, fingers crossed. Let's hope we're able to see some views shortly. So capturing this scene really has been a bit more hectic than landscape photography typically is. As I spoke about earlier, there was the thick fog and it looked like it was clearing. But when I arrived at this scene, I saw potential for a photograph. But the fog again was sweeping in, this time from my left. Previously it was coming from my right. Now as I look behind me, we've got lots of pockets of mist and fog and they're blowing in that direction. And off in the distance here, you'll see a lot of low cloud. There's banks of it and also some fog sweeping in from the left, probably just off the camera. And I was really concerned this area could get enclosed in fog and I wouldn't be able to take the image. The peak off behind me, which is a key part of the image, is now enclosed in low cloud. But I have got the image eventually. It was a bit of a rush. So there's all these rocks here in front of me. They're really interesting, but there's no standout rock. So you can't really single out one rock isolated in snow which points off in the direction that you would like. So it's quite chaotic, the arrangement of rocks, but I've been trying to position myself so that they're in a pleasing arrangement in my composition. And there's a couple of things that's been important to me here. The light is brightening up the distant area, but there's an awful lot of dark there, and there's a lot of dark in these rocks obviously as well. The sun is quite high, and when it comes out behind the clouds and fog, it does cast some light in my foreground. But what I've been trying to do is include some of this snow and heather, which again points in the direction I want the viewer's eye to go. I've been including that at the bottom right, just so that the whole dark rocks, obviously with areas of snow, don't come right down to the base of my image. So I wanted a little bit of brightness just down at the base of my image. Then we've got the rocks, and then just beyond the rocks, before the dark areas begin, there's a strip of white snow with some heather poking up through it. And if I position the camera much lower, I can exclude that, but I've deliberately got the camera high enough to include that area just so it breaks up some of the scene and we sort of go from bright to dark to bright and some of the darker areas with a covering of snow. So it's been a bit of a rush, but I'll show you the final result. So it's been quite a while since I've recorded my last section in this video. The weather conditions have been quite changeable. There's been some snow off in the distance behind the video camera at the moment. There's a lot of low cloud. A lot of that fog is still lingering around. In some of the surrounding terrain, which stretches off for miles, there's some interesting light, but unfortunately the quality of the light isn't very good at the moment for photography regarding taking shots of the surrounding hillside. But I'm going to keep my eye on that in case the quality of the light improves. But I found something here which is really interesting. I've got this frozen pool of water. There's some interesting curves and lines around the pool and within the pool itself, some interesting colours. And we've got some tufts of grass growing up through it as well. And the background is quite bleak. We've got some quite moody skies, moody clouds, but there's been interesting light falling around various areas of the scene. But quite consistently on this pool, it's probably at the moment there's not a lot of light, but on this frozen pool there's quite consistently been a fair bit of light, just bringing it to life. And we've got the moody backdrop behind. And as always in any composition, balance is very important, but I really feel that here. If I just get myself out of position a bit too far to the right or too far to the left, the composition falls to pieces. We've got, as beautiful as it is to my eye, there's quite a lot of what I would call dead space to the right. And if I include too much of that, I think the composition suffers. But we've got a really interesting hill off in that direction, and there's a subtle path winding up to it as well. But quite an interesting scene, a bit of a winter wonderland, some really interesting clouds as well, and I think now it's time to have some refreshments. So I've been walking for quite some distance. I've gained quite a bit of height, and I'm really at this moment just looking around to see what I would like to photograph later in the day. It may look quite nice in the video. There's some light behind me here, but it is just too bright at the moment, and it's quite strong on your eyes actually, the light, as it reflects off the snow. But anyway, we may get a photograph in a couple of hours time, but unfortunately there's an awful lot of huge massive grey clouds everywhere for the sun to go behind. But at the moment the light's just not quite right, so I'm going to take my chances. I may or may not get an image. But rather than film some B-roll at this point in time, I thought I would just stop and talk to anyone who's watching this video just about the joys of landscape photography and walking in the hills and mountains and how well they go together. So I'm quite fortunate that I'm able to do this physically and in terms of time. I don't take that for granted, and I really appreciate it, and I enjoy it every time I'm out, regardless of whether or not I get some nice photographs. But I think walking around in the hills and mountains is such a special thing. And you're always going to have memories, but the fact you can take your camera with you and photograph what stands out to you as an individual is just fantastic. You can look back at your images, have such wonderful memories, and of course have more vivid memories because you've actually got a picture to remind you of what you are seeing that day, rather than just rely on what's in your mind. So I really do think they're a perfect partnership. And of course it's not easy physically, so being able to stop from time to time and take a few photographs is a great way just to get your energy back and take in your surroundings. I think many of us are guilty of walking heads down, trying to get to a destination, wherever that may be. And it's nice just to look around you, and I think photography really encourages you to do that. You're always looking around, being hopeful of seeing something that you want to capture onto your memory card. So yeah, it's just a joy to be out. And at this point in time, I'm quite a few hundred meters high, and this is the most calm I've ever felt it while up in the mountains. There really is no wind at all. I'm looking to see any signs of wind. I can't feel a thing in my face. And it's just unbelievable when you look at this winter landscape and there's just not a breath of wind. It really is special. So along with my photographs to help me remember this day, this is something I'll remember for a long time. So it's now quite some time and also quite a few footsteps later than when I last spoke in the video, and I've been having a look around trying to find an area from which I want to take my last photograph or potentially photographs for today, and I've settled on the area in which I'm in at the moment. And what I'm going to do is get my telephoto lens on the camera and concentrate on the mountains behind me here. Now I'm hoping to get a nice shot here, but it's going to depend on the light. I'm really going to need the quality of light to be nice, and it needs to fall on the areas that I want. Otherwise, it won't really be worth me taking a photograph. So I'm going to get set up and concentrate on that and finish off my day here. But it's been an incredible day. The fog just appeared out of nowhere, and it went after a while, and it tried to come back, and it went, and it never really quite lifted until the last perhaps hour and a half. But there are so many clouds still present in the sky. I've got a really dark grey, menacing, huge cloud all overhead at the moment, but there are a few breaks, and I'm hopeful to be able to get a nice shot before I finish. And as I spoke about earlier, it was incredibly calm, the most calm, serene moment I've ever felt up in the hills and mountains. But now the wind is trying to pick up. The temperature's really dropped even more. It's been cold today anyway. And just before I started recording this section, there's been these tiny, almost pellets of snow. Not quite hail, but like tiny pellets of snow falling. And yeah, I think it's going to get ever colder as the evening progresses. But I'll show you whatever I capture in just a moment. I'm incredibly pleased with this photograph, and it completed what was a special day. I created a composition that I really liked. I had the weather conditions, but I just needed the light. I was incredibly fortunate when, for a period of only a few seconds, beautiful sunlight broke through the clouds and touched the distant mountains just where I had wanted. I couldn't have asked for more. I love how the photograph looks in print, and it is available to purchase via my website on A3 plus size paper. In addition to this, I am really pleased with a number of the photographs I took on this day, and I have put together a box set of prints which capture the feeling of my experience. I witnessed some amazing weather conditions, scenery and light, and I have created a collection of my favourite 4 photographs from this day which you are seeing now. I wanted to show how the day began and ended, so I've included my first and last photographs. I've also included my 2 other favourite photographs which I feel best reflect the conditions and weather that I experienced. This is a box set of 4 A4 prints, and again it is available via my website. As a special thank you to everyone who watches this video, I am offering a 10% discount on both the large A3 plus size print and the A4 box set. To benefit from this discount, enter the discount code appearing on your screen now at checkout on my website. as always, thank you so much for watching. I really do hope you've enjoyed watching this video. It's been fantastic for me to be out as always, and hopefully I'll see you in my next one.